In the quiet stretches of the Arkansas woods stood an old hunting cabin, abandoned, crooked, and nearly overtaken by vines. Locals whispered that something inside it was alive, not with ghosts or beasts, but with truth, and worse, with lies. They warned travelers, if you speak a lie inside that cabin, the earth will rise to swallow you. Most laughed it off. But Daniel Carter wasn't most people. A hard-working 17-year-old farm boy with calloused hands and a heart too brave for his own good, Daniel believed in what he could see: crops, soil, sweat, survival. Folk tales? That was for children and drunks. But rumors are funny things. They have a way of finding the right ears at the wrong time, and Daniel's time was about to come. Daniel lived with his widowed mother and little sister Clara. The farm was failing, the summer rains hadn't come, and the bank wanted money they didn't have. His mother hid a letter in the drawer each night, shoulders trembling as she prayed nobody would notice. But Daniel noticed everything. One evening he confronted her. "Mama, what's happening? Tell me the truth." Her tired eyes glistened. "We'll be all right," she lied, voice quivering. Daniel didn't push, but the seed of fear rooted itself deep inside him. He promised himself, "I'll save this farm." Somehow. He heard that an old hunter once hid gold near the cursed cabin. Gold no one had ever found. Desperation feeds daring. Before sunrise, Daniel packed a lantern, a loaf of cornbread, and his father's pocket knife. Clara woke up and grabbed his arm. "Where are you going?" "Just to hunt," he said. A lie. A small one. But the first step toward a darker path. Clara's little hands clung longer than usual. "Don't go near that cabin, Danny," she whispered. "I heard Papa talk about it once. He said the ground knows when someone lies." Daniel forced a laugh. "Stories, that's all." But Clara didn't smile. He left with her fear lingering behind him like a shadow. The deeper he walked, the quieter the forest became. Birds hushed. The wind stopped moving. Even insects seemed to hold their breath. He found the cabin just as the sun struggled through the trees, sagging roof, broken windows, and one door hanging crooked like a warning finger. Daniel stepped inside. The air was thick and earthy, too earthy. The floorboards creaked under his weight, and something shifted beneath. Damp soil. He found strange carvings across the wall. The truth stands. Lies sink. Daniel swallowed hard. A chill rattled his spine. But gold could save his family. He moved crates, lifted rotten boards, and checked old shelves. Nothing. Frustration bubbled up. "This place is just a stupid legend," he muttered. The floorboards rumbled. The lantern shook. Mud, thick, wet mud, oozed up through cracks near his boots. Daniel stumbled backward, eyes wide with terror. No, that was just the wood settling. He knew that was a lie. The cabin knew too. The mud stopped rising as if warning him. Be careful what you say next. Just as Daniel considered running home, a voice echoed from outside. "Looking for something, son?" An old hunter with graying hair and a limp leaned on the doorframe. His expression was stern and knowing. "You shouldn't be here," he said. Daniel swallowed. "I'm just exploring." Mud gurgled beneath the floorboards again. The old man narrowed his eyes. "Then don't lie." Not here. Daniel froze. Someone else believed the legend. "Who are you?" he asked. "Name's Silas. Last man alive who's seen what this place can do." Silas stepped deeper into the cabin, tapping the ground with his cane. This place was built by 4 brothers in 1870. One was a liar, a greedy liar. He claimed the gold was all his, though they found it together. When he spoke that lie inside this cabin, the mud rose. Silas paused. His gaze hardened. "And swallowed him whole." Daniel's heart pounded. That's just a story, he insisted, voice faint. Silas pointed to the rising mud creeping around Daniel's boots. Is it? Mud didn't lie. Silas offered help. You want gold? Fine. Tell me why Daniel hesitated. Pride wrestled with fear. It's none of your business, he snapped. More mud surged upward. Silas shook his head. Boy, you'll die before telling the truth. You got family trouble, don't you? Daniel clenched his fists. Shame burned his cheeks. Our farm. We'll lose it soon, he finally said, voice cracking. The mud stilled. Silas gave a slow nod. Truth calms the earth. Daniel exhaled, for the first time in hours. Silas showed Daniel a loose panel behind a wall beam. When he pried it open, they found a rusty tin box wrapped in old leather. Daniel's breath caught. This was it. He tore it open. Nothing but bones and a tarnished wedding ring. Silas knelt, whispering a prayer. That liar brother left a wife behind. She waited and waited until heartbreak killed her. Silas handed Daniel the ring. Greed brings nothing but suffering. Daniel looked down at the jewelry and thought of his mother's tears. Maybe gold wasn't worth sinking into lies for. Silas turned toward the door. Time to leave. You've learned enough. But Daniel stood still. No, I haven't told you everything. He stared at his own reflection in a muddy puddle on the floor. I lied to my sister. To Mama. I said everything would be okay. But it's not. His voice broke entirely. I'm so scared. The cabin seemed to listen. The mud receded, almost respectfully. Silas put a hand on his shoulder. You've spoken the truth. That's your first step forward. Daniel felt lighter, but also exposed. The truth freed him, yet demanded more. He didn't know it yet, but the cabin had not finished teaching him. The deeper lies were still buried. Silas led Daniel outside. The evening skies glowed orange, and cicadas had returned to singing, as if the woods could breathe again. You want to save your family? Silas asked. Daniel nodded firmly. There's another secret in that cabin, Silas continued. But it demands the whole truth. Every hidden corner inside you. Daniel's voice trembled. I can handle it. Silas studied him for a long moment. Remember, one lie, even a small one, and the mud won't stop this time. The cabin loomed behind them, door creaking like a mouth ready to swallow. They re-entered the cabin. The air felt heavier now, like the room remembered every falsehood ever spoken inside it. Silas tapped a section of the floor with his cane. Treasures buried deep. But you need to earn it. Daniel kneeled and began digging with his hands. Mud smeared his sleeves, but the ground stayed low. You sure you ain't hiding anything else? Silas asked quietly. Daniel paused, flashes of guilt burning in his chest. No, he said. The mud twitched, just barely, but enough to warn him. That wasn't the truth, not fully. Silas noticed his fear. Boy, what more are you not telling? Daniel grit his teeth. Buried truth is heavier than any soil. His hands froze mid-dig. I blame Papa, Daniel whispered. He died and left us alone. Left Mama to suffer. Mud bulged up between his fingers, choking the hole shut again. Silas shook his head. That ain't the lie. That's just pain. Daniel slammed his fist into the ground and shouted, I hate him for dying. The ground surged violently, then slowly eased back. Daniel collapsed, shaking. Tears he hadn't let fall in years dripped into the dirt. Silas helped him up. There's hurt behind your words. But you still ain't dug up the biggest truth. Daniel knew exactly what that was, but admitting it felt like betrayal. Night settled. They lit the lantern again. Suddenly, something stirred outside. Danny! Clara's voice. She burst through the door, cheeks streaked with tears. Their mother must have told her. Daniel missing. Danger in the woods. She ran to him and clung tight. You left because you think you have to fix everything, she sobbed. You think it's all your fault. He froze. Your fault. Those words pierced deeper than any lie. Clara pulled back, gripping his shoulders. You think Papa died because of you. Silas watched silently. The cabin waited. Daniel trembled like a child lost in a storm. I told him not to go that day, Daniel stammered. I begged him to stay. But he rode to town anyway. And the horse slipped on the rocks. And then he couldn't finish. Clara held his face. It wasn't your fault. Daniel collapsed to his knees. But I told Mama it didn't bother me. I told everyone I was fine. I lied. The mud surged high, ankle level, circling him like a beast smelling weakness. Silas shouted, Tell the whole truth, boy. Say what you've buried the deepest. Daniel's heart pounded like it wanted to escape his chest. Daniel screamed from a place he never dared look at. I miss him, every single night. I pretend I'm strong, but I'm not. I don't know how to be the man he was. I'm scared of life without him. The mud froze mid-rise, then slowly sank back. Silas let out the breath he'd been holding. Clara wept with relief. The cabin calmed. For the first time, Daniel felt real courage, raw, imperfect courage. Silas nodded. Truth ain't easy, but it keeps you standing. Suddenly, the mud floor cracked, and a wooden chest surfaced, dripping wet. Daniel stared in disbelief. With shaking hands, Daniel opened the chest. Inside, a sealed jar of gold coins, a journal wrapped in oilskin, a small wooden cross, and a note, to the one who chooses truth over greed. Silas smiled knowingly. The cabin gives only when it believes the heart is right. Daniel lifted the jar, more gold than he'd ever held. But it was the journal that made him pause. It bore his father's initials. He opened it. Letters, sketches, prayers, written for Daniel, Clara, and their mother. His father had hoped to leave them this someday, but never got the chance. A sudden thought flickered in Daniel's mind. They could tell the bank the farm was paid off, pretend the money came from savings, no questions. Clara saw his expression shift. Danny, don't lie now, Silas warned sharply. Greed begins with just one small lie. The mud remembers. Daniel closed his eyes. Every instinct screamed, protect your family. But now he understood. Protecting them didn't mean hiding the truth. He stood tall. We'll use this gold, and we'll tell the bank exactly how we got it. Silas smiled in pride. The cabin remained still. Dawn painted the woods gold as they made their way home. Daniel stopped once and looked back at the cabin. What happens to it now? He asked. Silas answered, It waits. For the next soul who believes a lie is easier than the truth. Daniel nodded, clutching the journal close to his heart. Before leaving, he whispered, Thank you, Papa. The breeze rustled through the pines. Almost like a reply, Clara slipped her hand into his. For the first time, it feels like we're gonna be okay. And Daniel believed her, because he finally believed in himself. Weeks later, the bank accepted the story of the cabin, the journal, and the treasure. It was part of local legend after all. The Carters kept their farm. His mother's tears were tears of relief now. Daniel built a small wooden plaque for his father's grave. The truth stands. He understood now. Lying might feel like protection, but truth is what saves us. Truth lets us rise instead of sink. Clara hugged him from behind. You're the bravest person I know, Danny. He smiled softly. Only because you reminded me to stop pretending. The wind carried a peaceful silence over the fields. No more sinking. No more lies. Just a boy, his family, and a truth that kept them standing tall.